It is the engineering marvel that tamed a continent, the strategic waterway that powers global trade, and now it stands at the center of an international showdown that could reshape world commerce and diplomacy. For the first time in decades, an American president is threatening to take back the Panama Canal by force. Why is this 51-mile waterway suddenly on President Trump's agenda? And what would happen if he followed through on his threat? In this special investigation, we will uncover the truth behind Trump's explosive claims, examine who really controls this global choke point, and reveal why this 110-year-old canal has become the latest flashpoint in the new Cold War between the United States and China. To understand why President Trump wants to take back the Panama Canal, we must first understand how America lost it in the first place. In 1977, President Jimmy Carter signed what would become one of the most controversial treaties in American history, the Torrijos Treaties. These agreements set in motion the transfer of the canal from American to Panamanian control, a process completed on December 31, 1999. The treaties were fiercely opposed by conservatives who viewed them as a surrender of American power. Among those critics was a young Donald Trump, who would decades later call the handover foolish and a strategic mistake. Since December 2024, President Trump has launched a three-pronged attack on the current canal arrangement, making startling claims that have rattled diplomats and markets alike. Trump claims American ships are severely overcharged and not treated fairly. But is there truth to this? The Panama Canal Authority charges market-based fees that apply equally to all nations. The United States, as the canal's biggest user, accounting for 40% of all traffic and $270 billion in annual cargo, pays the same rates as everyone else. When prices increased during recent droughts, it wasn't discrimination, it was basic supply and demand. As Harvard's Ricardo Hausman explains, it's not that the United States is being unfairly treated, it's that it is not being preferentially treated. Trump's most explosive claim? China is operating the Panama Canal. He even posted on social media about wonderful soldiers of China operating the waterway. The reality? The Panama Canal Authority, an agency of the Panamanian government, has exclusive control over canal operations. While Chinese companies have significant presence near the canal, including a Hong Kong-based company operating 2 key ports, this is far from Chinese military control. In fact, in early 2025, U.S. investment giant BlackRock acquired controlling stakes in those very ports, dramatically reducing Chinese influence. Trump has called the canal handover foolish and suggested the U.S. should never have given it up. But the treaties weren't a simple gift. They resolved decades of tension and guaranteed U.S. neutrality protection. Panamanian President José Raúl Mulino has immediately rejected Trump's threats, reaffirming Panama's sovereignty and commitment to fair access for all nations. Beneath the rhetoric lies a deeper truth. The Panama Canal has become a strategic battleground in the U.S.-China rivalry, and both superpowers are fighting for influence. China has made significant inroads since Panama switched diplomatic recognition from Taiwan to Beijing in 2017 and joined China's Belt and Road Initiative. Chinese companies have invested billions in ports, bridges, and even a cruise terminal near the canal. The U.S. has responded with intense diplomatic and economic pressure. The results have been dramatic. Panama recently announced it would no longer participate in China's Belt and Road Initiative. Then came the blockbuster $22.8 billion deal for BlackRock to take control of the ports at both ends of the canal, a move Trump hailed as a reconquest. But Panama's government was quick to clarify this was a private commercial deal that in no way compromised Panama's sovereignty. This delicate dance reveals Panama's precarious position, caught between 2 superpowers, asserting sovereignty while navigating overwhelming economic pressures. If the U.S. were to take back the canal, what exactly would it be taking? The evidence shows Panama has not just maintained this engineering marvel, it has dramatically enhanced it through billions in strategic investments. Since taking control, Panama has invested nearly $6 billion in canal infrastructure. This includes, first, creating special economic zones like Panama Pacifico Industrial Zone and the City of Knowledge Research Hub. Second, developing ports and logistics infrastructure, including a pipeline for oil tankers too large for the canal. Third, the massive third set of locks expansion completed in 2016, allowing ships 3 times heavier than before to transit. Perhaps most impressively, Panama is tackling what may be the canal's greatest threat: climate change. Recent droughts have forced canal authorities to reduce transits, threatening global supply chains. Panama's response? A $1.6 billion dam project to secure the canal's freshwater supply, a project that will require relocating 2,500 residents. These are not the actions of a country mismanaging a strategic asset. These are the difficult decisions of responsible stewards planning for the next century. Why does this matter to the world? Because the Panama Canal isn't just Panamanian or American. It's a critical artery for global commerce that affects every consumer and economy on Earth. For the United States, it's indispensable. 40% of all U.S. container traffic passes through annually. It's the fastest route between the East Coast and Asia and crucial for American energy exports. When drought reduced canal capacity in 2023, wait times peaked at 21 days, increasing shipping costs by up to 14%. The fundamental principle governing the canal is neutrality. It must be open to all nations on equal terms. This principle protects American interests as much as anyone else. If the U.S. were to violate Panamanian sovereignty to take back the canal, it would shatter this principle and potentially justify similar actions by other powers elsewhere. Following Trump's threats, the world watched nervously for what something very powerful might mean. Instead of military action, the U.S. dispatched Secretary of State Marco Rubio to Panama City for diplomatic talks. The outcome suggests a pragmatic compromise may be emerging. Rather than seizing the canal itself, which would violate international law and alienate allies, the U.S. is using economic and diplomatic leverage to secure its interests while respecting Panamanian sovereignty. The canal that took a decade to build and cost thousands of lives has entered a new era of great power competition. The fundamental question remains: can this global commons be peacefully shared, or will it become another casualty of rising tensions between the world's superpowers? The battle for the Panama Canal reveals a fundamental truth about our world. Strategic geography never loses its importance, only changes its form. A century after its completion, this 51-mile waterway remains what it has always been: a prize worth fighting for, a symbol of national pride, and a choke point that could determine the future of global trade. The question is no longer whether the canal matters, but how nations will navigate the turbulent waters of competition and cooperation in the 21st century. One thing is certain: the world will be watching what happens next. If you want to stay informed about the global hotspots that could explode into tomorrow's headlines, follow this channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. The next crisis is always brewing somewhere, and we'll be here to help you understand what really matters. Like and subscribe for more in-depth investigations. Next episode: the Taiwan Strait, the most dangerous place on Earth.